How to fix your entire life in one day. Let me ask you something. How many times have you set a goal, hyped yourself up, promised yourself this time would be different, only to quit 2 weeks later? If you're honest with yourself, probably more times than you can count. And here's the kicker. It's not because you lack discipline. It's not because you're lazy. It's because you've been approaching change completely wrong. Today, I'm going to show you the real reason you're stuck, and more importantly, a one-day protocol that can completely reset the trajectory of your life. Section 1. The real problem. Most people think they need to change their actions. Wake up earlier. Work out more. Be more productive. But here's what nobody tells you. You aren't where you want to be because you aren't the person who would be there. Let me explain. Think about someone successful. Maybe it's a bodybuilder with an incredible physique, or a CEO running a multi-million-dollar company. Do you think the bodybuilder has to grind and force themselves to eat healthy? Does the CEO have to discipline themselves to show up and lead their team every single day? On the surface, maybe. But the truth is deeper. They can't see themselves living any other way. The bodybuilder would have to force themselves to eat junk food. The CEO feels physically uncomfortable lying in bed past their alarm. Their behavior is natural because they've changed who they are at a fundamental level. And this is where most people fail. They try to build a great life on a rotting foundation. They set surface-level goals without changing their identity. If you want a specific outcome in life, you must have the lifestyle that creates that outcome long before you reach it. Not just temporarily. For life. Section 2. You don't actually want to change. Here's a hard truth. All behavior is goal-oriented. Everything you do is in pursuit of some goal, even when you don't realize it. When you procrastinate on your work, you're not just being lazy. You're achieving a goal, protecting yourself from the judgment that comes from finishing and sharing your work. When you stay in a dead-end job you claim to hate, you're pursuing a goal: safety, predictability, and avoiding the risk of looking like a failure. Your actions reveal your true goals. And most of the time, those goals are unconscious. You say you want to lose weight, but your actions show you're more committed to immediate comfort. You say you want to start a business, but your actions show you're more committed to avoiding risk. The lesson here? Real change requires changing your goals. Not just setting new ones on top of old conditioning, but actually reprogramming what you're aiming for at a deep, unconscious level. And to do that, you need to understand how you became who you are in the first place. Section 3. You're living someone else's life. Here's how you became the person you are today. As a child, you had one primary goal: survival. And you were completely dependent on your parents to teach you how to survive. So you conformed. You adopted their beliefs, their values, their definition of success. Because if you didn't, you'd be punished. But here's the problem. Your parents went through the same process. They were conditioned by culturally accepted ideas of success from their generation. Get good grades. Get a stable job. Retire at 65. A known path that doesn't actually work for most people. And once your physical survival needs are met, which is pretty easy in the modern world, you start surviving on a conceptual level. You protect and reproduce your ideas, your beliefs, your identity. When someone challenges your political views, you feel threatened. Not just intellectually, but emotionally. Like you've been slapped in the face. When someone questions your career choice or lifestyle, you get defensive. You double down. Because you're not defending your ideas. You're defending who you think you are. And until you see through this pattern, you'll stay stuck defending an identity that was programmed into you, living a life that was designed by someone else. Section 4. Intelligence is getting what you want. So how do you break free? First, you need to understand what real intelligence is. Intelligence isn't your IQ score or how many facts you know. Intelligence is the ability to get what you want out of life. And to do that, you need to understand cybernetics, which is the art of getting what you want. Intelligent systems have a few key properties. They have a goal. They act toward that goal. They sense where they are. They compare it to the goal. And they adjust based on feedback. Think of a ship that gets blown off course. An intelligent system corrects and keeps moving toward its destination. A low-intelligence system, it hits one roadblock and quits. Low-intelligence people get stuck on problems. They fail once and give up. They blame circumstances, other people, lack of discipline. High-intelligence people realize any problem can be solved on a large enough time scale. They iterate, they persist, they experiment until they find what works. The mark of intelligence is the ability to learn from your mistakes and keep moving forward. And the first step? Rejecting the known path and diving into the unknown with new, higher goals. Section 5. The One-Day Protocol. All right, here's where everything comes together. I'm going to give you a comprehensive protocol you can use to completely reset your life in one day. This isn't something you casually read through and forget. This requires a full day, a pen, paper, and an open mind. The protocol has 3 parts: morning, throughout the day, and evening. Part 1. Morning. Psychological excavation. Set aside 15 to 30 minutes in the morning to answer these questions. Be brutally honest. First, identify the pain in your current life. What persistent dissatisfaction have you learned to tolerate? What do you complain about repeatedly but never actually change? What truth about your current life would be unbearable to admit to someone you deeply respect? Next, create your anti-vision. This is a brutal awareness of the life you do not want to live. Imagine nothing changes for 5 years. Describe an average Tuesday in excruciating detail. Where do you wake up? What does your body feel like? What do you do all day? How do you feel at night? Now, do it for 10 years. What have you missed? What opportunities closed? Who gave up on you? If you're honest, this should make you feel deeply uncomfortable. Good. That's the point. Finally, create your vision. Forget practicality. If you could snap your fingers and be living a different life in 3 years, what would an average Tuesday look like? What would you have to believe about yourself for that life to feel natural? And what's one thing you would do this week if you were already that person? Part 2. Throughout the day. Breaking autopilot, set random reminders on your phone with these questions. What am I avoiding right now by doing what I'm doing? Am I moving toward the life I hate or the life I want? What's the most important thing I'm pretending isn't important? When did I feel most alive today? When did I feel most dead? The goal is to interrupt your unconscious patterns and force conscious awareness. Part 3. Evening. Synthesis. At the end of the day, synthesize your insights. What feels most true about why you've been stuck? What is the actual enemy? The internal pattern running the show. Write one sentence that captures what you refuse to let your life become. Write one sentence that captures what you're building toward. Then create your goals as lenses, not finish lines. 1-year lens. What would have to be true in 1 year for you to know you've broken the old pattern? 1-month lens. What project or skill would make the 1-year goal possible? Daily lens. What 2 to 3 actions can you do tomorrow that your future self would simply do? Section 6. Turn your life into a game. Here's the final piece. Organize everything into a coherent system. Write down these 6 components. Anti-vision. The life you refuse to live. Vision. The ideal life you're building toward. 1-year goal. Your mission. 1-month project. Your boss fight. Daily levers. Your quests. Constraints. Your rules. Why is this so powerful? Because this literally turns your life into a video game. And games are the ultimate example of obsession, flow, and enjoyment. Your vision is how you win. Your anti-vision is what's at stake. Your goals create the structure. Your daily actions unlock new opportunities. These act like concentric circles, a force field protecting your mind from distractions and shiny objects. The more you play this game, the stronger it becomes. And soon enough, it becomes who you are. You won't see any other way to live. Look, most people will watch this video, feel inspired for about 30 seconds, and then go right back to their old patterns. Don't be most people. If you actually want to change your life, you need to do the work. Set aside one full day. Go through this protocol. Answer the questions honestly. Because here's the truth. You can keep living the way you're living now, tolerating the same frustrations, making the same excuses. Or you can spend one day digging deep, facing uncomfortable truths, and launching yourself towards something better. The choice is yours. If this resonated with you, drop a comment below sharing your biggest insight. And if you're ready to completely transform your life, I'll see you in the next one. Please like and subscribe. If you're ready to change,